Hello, Sheridan College. Welcome to our SSU cooking class. This is segment 3 of 3. Our last one today, we'll be doing fish tacos with a side of Mexican nachos. As always, please feel free to visit the website, ssu.ca, for your ingredient list. Feel free to cook along with us, or if you don't want to and you just want to watch, that's fine too. And then please feel free to also look at the Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Dan, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Dan Clark. I currently reside the title of General Manager at Rasa Restaurant. Although we aren't open for sit-down service, we are currently doing takeout, which has been a great blessing at this time. Stay safe, everyone. Just a little breakdown, kind of my past history and how I got involved in the hospitality industry. I first started my, my education at the University of Laurentian in Sudbury, where I did a phys ed degree. During that time there, I worked as a cook for 4 years. And then kind of upon graduation date, I had a really difficult time choosing whether I wanted to become a gym teacher or if I wanted to pursue my career in food and beverage. And I chose the latter. So I moved to Toronto, where I attended George Brown University. I did food and beverage management, which I fell in love with. Great school, just like Sheridan. From there, I moved into support staff, which led me into serving, then into a floor manager, and then finally I found my role as general manager at Rasa here in Toronto. Food is a huge part of my life. Michelle and I have had a lot of fun been cooking these last couple of months in quarantine.
It's been a way to stay sane and have fun at home. I'm Michelle. I am Dan's wife. I got my degree at the University of Guelph in environmental sociology. I specialized in sustainable food systems. That led me to not only the hospitality industry, but a position as a market manager for the Cabbagetown Farmers Market, which I did for a number of years and absolutely loved. My education really helped out with understanding local sustainable food systems and how those work, and the sociology of food systems as well. Dan and I kind of fell in love with cooking together, as well as with each other. And it's one of the things that we love to do. Today we're going to be doing fish tacos, as I mentioned. Dan, do you want to describe the taco itself?
Sure. So the taco itself is a classic Mexican street dish. However, the Den menu at Sheridan College has a little bit more of a Tex-Mex type spin on it. You don't typically see as many ingredients in Mexican street food as you do in Tex-Mexican tacos. So this one we're going to be using a little bit of cheese. Our fish itself, we're going to be using haddock today, but you can really use any fish, white fish, neutral. You could use like hake, you could use cod, halibut if you're real fancy, bass. Lance bass.
Haddock is the most common type of fish in a fish taco, though, which is what we're going to be using today.
Don't use lance bass. He's a singer. So yeah, we're going to do a corn tortilla. We're going to do a beer batter. If you don't like beer, then you're dead to me. But you can replace the beer with sparkling water if you prefer instead. It's more of like a tempura type batter. We're going to also be doing a red onion, cabbage, carrot slaw with a Chipotle Ranch sauce, and then we're going to make an avocado crema as well to kind of finish things off. So to start,
then as a side dish, we are going to be doing nachos, which I thought was a great addition to as a side dish for our fish taco. For the nachos, we're going to be frying our own chips with corn tortillas. We're going to be topping it with a pico de gallo, some fresh herbs, and some green onion with some Tex-Mex cheese. All right, ready to get started?
I think we should.
Let's do it.
This day and age, why not make your own chips?
Right.
So what we're starting with here on camera number 2 is we have a wok here that we filled with canola oil. We have this on medium high heat. It's like number 6.5 out of 10, I guess. To begin. Michelle's going to be chopping our 6-inch flour tortillas into 6 pieces.
So I'll just put it closer here. Okay, so I have my cutting board and I have my corn tortillas. I'm cutting it into 6 pieces each. I have about 4 corn tortillas. They do shrink up quite a bit. So you want about that size, the size of a normal chip. If you don't want to make your own chips, that's totally fine too. Please feel free to use Tostitos or any type of Mexican chip that you'd like to. So we're frying these first because they needed a little bit of time to cool, and then we're going to make our nachos later on in the show. So I have all of my chips. I'm going to head over to the fryer. Dan, do you think it's ready?
Well, on episode 1 of our filming, I introduced you guys to wooden spoon technique. What you're looking for is just some bubbles that form, and that will let you know that your oil is perfect. And look at that.
The oil is perfect. Everyone can see those bubbles.
So that means you're ready to fry. Fry.
Do you want to use the camera and I can fry that?
Sure. Okay, you gotta be very careful here. If you guys haven't kind of noticed, I did burn myself earlier this week. So just be very careful when you're using hot oil. Michelle's being very gentle on this process. And this is only going to take a couple minutes here. Maybe even 1 minute, to be totally honest with you. You're just going to basically just looking for texture on these chips. Or crisp enough fast. To be honest, if I'm frying fish on this temperature, I might want it a little bit lower. Yeah. But this is perfect for tortillas. And Michelle's just using a slotted spoon here to keep them moving, make sure they don't stick. But yeah, these are going to be done in no time. And in hindsight, I forgot to grab paper towel, so I'm going to do that. Maybe now.
You want to put it on your cutting board?
Sure.
Here, crisp it up nice.
Once again, this is just like, what are we at? 40 seconds right now?
Yeah. Not going to take much less. I'm turning them around so they're nice and crispy on both sides.
Beautiful. Good job, girl.
Thank you. Okay, what do you think?
I think they look perfect.
Yeah.
Especially if we're going to be baking them too.
Yeah,
you're going to crisp them a little bit more as well.
You want to grab the salt?
I really do.
Maybe salt them while there's still a little oil on them.
That's a great idea.
Thanks.
One fun thing about corn tortillas is they're naturally gluten-free.
Yeah. Is this whole dish gluten-free? It might be.
This whole dish is gluten-free.
Except for the beer.
Except for the beer.
But if you use sparkling water, it's just
look at those chips.
They're pretty good.
Yeah, I'd say start to finish, that was about a minute.
Okay, salt.
So I have a mixing bowl here. Michelle's going to graciously dump these chips into the mixing bowl. So,
hey, guys, we have a question in the chat where they're asking. They're asking, why are we frying chips rather than baking the chips?
It gets a better crisp on them.
And it's the traditional method used in Mexico.
It is the traditional method used in Mexico. You can bake them. It will have a similar effect, but frying just gives it that extra bit of crunch. If you're going to bake them, and then we can just bake them at about 425, 450, pretty high heat, small amount of oil, and they should crisp up nicely too. We just prefer them fried to get some extra.
You're not going to get the same texture. I mean, yeah, baking's a little bit healthier, but let's be honest. Frying your chips, that's the way to go. Okay, chips are done. We're going to put those aside for a little bit. Oddly enough, the very last thing that we're going to be cooking today is actually the fish. So the beginning part goes into our slaw, our pico, our sauces. Because there's so many things on the list that we need to, I guess, knock off, Michelle and I are delegating the tasks here. She's going to take care of the red cabbage, red onion, carrot slaw, and I'm going to be taking care of the pico. So if you just want to kind of jump between the two cameras, we're going to have to do these in succession.
Simultaneously, yeah. So I have a beautiful purple cabbage here. I'm going to cut off a chunk on the side. You want a pretty sharp knife for what you're doing today. The cabbage is pretty hard on the outside, and you want the thinnest cuts possible for the cabbage. That will allow the sauce to completely marinate into the cabbage and get all of those flavors into the vegetable itself. So I've cut about this size. You want to remove the outer layer because it usually has a little bit of this filminess on it. So this is nice. And then you just want to cut from this side the thinnest slices that you possibly can. And you can start your pico while I'm doing this.
Beautiful. And back on camera number 2, I'm going to be starting just a classic pico de gallo, which is essentially what you guys know as a salsa. We're going to be using Roma tomatoes today. There were these oval-shaped tomatoes. Anytime you're making a pico, very important that you need to remove the seeds first. Otherwise, it's going to be way too liquid, like a bird. So I'm just going to cut these in half. I'm doubling up this recipe because we're going to be using the pico in both the tacos as well as the nachos. Do you need this bowl?
No, go ahead.
Beautiful. Okay, so using like a small knife here, I'm just going to cut around the inside membrane of this tomato and scoop out the seeds. If you're looking to start a garden at this time of year, this is a perfect application. You can just throw these in some dirt and hopefully you're going to have some tomatoes growing in months. All right, being repetitive once again, doing the same process. How's it going over there, Michelle?
It's good. So I'm cutting the cabbage super, super thin. You want really fine strips. And then once I've cut it lengthwise, I'm just going to cut it 3 times the other way, so it's not too long of strips and it's able to nicely toss with all the other vegetables.
Beautiful. You can also add snap cabbage, green cabbage, some white cabbage, any type of cabbage.
Yeah. Savoy cabbage is really nice.
Yeah. But red cabbage is kind of like the classic. Not only does it add like a little bit of a sweeter flavor than like green or Napa cabbage, but it's also like visually a little bit more beautiful.
It's very pretty.
All right. On to tomato number 4.
You mean 4 tomatoes?
Oh, 2. 4 halves.
Nice.
All right. Now that we got the guts out of these tomatoes, let's start chopping them up.
Okay, so back to the slaw. Before we started here today, just to save a little time, I finally minced a whole bunch of parsley and mint. So you can see once it's minced, it's probably about a half a cup, even parts of parsley and mint. When I first started cooking, I really didn't use fresh herbs. I definitely didn't use mint. For a coleslaw, mint really, really brightens it up. Most people think of it with sweet desserts or with mojitos or things like that. But in terms of Mexican cuisine, it adds a really nice freshness. So I would highly suggest using it. If you really don't want to use mint, you can just double up on the parsley, that's fine. So I have the bowl of the fresh herbs. Cabbage is going in.
Ooh, that looks good.
And then next, I'm going to take quite a large carrot we bought. So about that much of a carrot next to my head. You can see how big it is. I'm going to grate it and then add it into the slaw as well.
Beautiful.
Keep going.
And in the meantime, now you see I have these tomatoes that I have de-seeded. Using a serrated knife, which is always the option when you're using tomatoes because they're such a delicate vegetable. We're going to make some some very thin cuts here into our tomatoes.
Just like your microphone's over here.
Oh. Well, I hope you can still hear me. We live in a very small basement apartment.
Keep going.
Alright, so once again, we're just cutting these. So I've done 2 at a time here. We're just going to turn them slightly and then just do a small dice.
I think that's good. Okay, we have our grated carrot. Beautiful. I'm actually not going to put quite that much in. You want the cabbage to be the star of the show, so I think I grated a little too much. I'd say half cabbage and a third carrot and a third red onion.
So it's time to self-edit.
Exactly. I want to self-edit a little bit. I don't want it to be too carrot heavy, but I can save that for later for a salad. That's what I'm going to do. Next, I'm going to very finely chop red onion. Red onion gives, again, nice brightness to the slaw, which is what you're looking for, but also that nice oniony taste. The juices from the onion will also break down the cabbage and the carrot and make it that nice softer slaw, but still being crunchy. So I have half a red onion that I've already chopped in half. I'm going to do slices and then dice it finely. How are you doing over there?
I'm just dicing some tomatoes.
Let me see.
How are they looking? What's really nice, after you take all the seeds out of the tomato, if you want a finer dice, this allows you to put your knife through it once again, and you can chop it up like really, really fine if you want. Yeah, that's my tip on dicing tomatoes, I guess.
Here.
Anyway, we're powering through there. Starting to feel some heat from this pot of oil I got next to me.
Let me turn it off.
No, I need to keep it on for when we cook our fish tacos. Sure.
Beautiful.
All right. My tomatoes are diced. Michelle's cabbage is chopped.
Carrots are grated.
Carrots are grated.
What else are you putting in your pico?
So my pico is super simple. It's going to consist of literally 5 things. It's going to be mostly tomato, Viennese yellow onion, as opposed to a red onion that Michelle's using over there, fresh jalapeno, cilantro, and lime. Super simple. That's what you kind of expect when you go to Mexico, and not Texas, where the cheese comes into play.
Oh, I'm starting to cry.
All right. Michelle's starting to cry.
Chopping onions. Am I right?
Slaw's looking nice.
Oh.
I'm gonna steal one of these metal bowls from you. We also have limited resources here, so we have one really great chef's knife, and
do you need it? I'm almost done.
And one kind of terrible chef's knife.
This beautiful Japanese kitchen knife was a wedding gift for us. Thank you, Matthews.
So yeah, when Michelle's done, I'm
You need
gonna
it?
probably steal that. Yeah, because. All right. Okay, next up, fresh jalapeno here. Easiest way to do this: you cut off the tip, cut it in half, and then bring back my bowl of tomato guts. And I'm gonna scrape the seeds out here, just using this spoon.
Feel free to wear gloves when you cut or work with jalapenos, because even if you wash your hands afterwards, the juices tend to permeate your fingers. And if you touch your eye, you'll be able to see for a couple hours.
It's gonna get like some heat from these jalapenos, but not as intense if you let the seeds go. Using your claw technique here, you don't want to chop your fingers off. Just gonna like super thinly slice these. And my wife is frying from the onions. I think one jalapeno should be enough here. Keep in mind, we do need this for both the tacos and for the tacos.
I do want
that.
Yeah. It's It's fresh jalapeno as opposed to a pickled jalapeno, which is much, much more potent.
Beautiful.
If you're using a pickled jalapeno, then you can add.
And I went a long way here. Just gonna run my day the other way. Just make a really fine dice.
Okay.
I like the tomato in a little bit larger pieces, but I'm gonna be cutting the jalapeno and the onion into very, very small bite-sized pieces.
All right, I'm ready to dress the coleslaw. Okay, so my personal favorite recipe is apple cider vinegar, which we got from the farmer's market last year, and it's kept in our fridge for a very long time. Lime juice, olive oil, Dijon, and some garlic, salt and pepper. So I'm just going to add a very small amount of apple cider vinegar. I'd say 1/8 of a cup. Say about 1 tablespoon of lime juice. I tend not to measure. I just give it a good 2 squirts, and it's usually good.
Usually.
Always. This is new Dijon, so I'm just going to take off the lid.
Now it's my turn to cry. I'm going to dive into this onion over here. White onion, not red onion. What's really fun, it's not at all fun, who am I kidding? A nice little hack when it comes to onions is you want to leave the ugly side of the onion on because it holds the whole vegetable together, essentially. So that's going to be the last thing that I remove here.
So I just added about 2 tablespoons of Dijon mustard, about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. I was going to use fresh garlic, but didn't have time to cut it. So ideally, you would just use 1 clove of fresh garlic. So I just did a sprinkling of garlic powder.
So you cheated.
I cheated a little bit. I'm sorry. I apologize. And I'm mixing it up. This looks pretty good.
Okay, back on my screen. As I said, if you leave the tip on the garlic, on the onion here, I just cut it in half. Everything comes off in 1 piece. It's a really, really great hack. At this point, you can cut it, the tip off. And then we're going to be cutting striations lengthwise of this onion, once again using the technique as thin as we can because I want to make very small cuts of onion, just so it's not so aggressive onion flavor in your face. But I mean, there might be.
All right. Do you want to have a taste of this and see how it is?
Yes.
What do you think?
Oh.
Good?
Oh yeah.
He likes it.
It's amazing.
Does it need more vinegar?
Doesn't need anything.
No?
No.
All right. All right. Dan approves. And add a little bit of pepper and a small amount of salt, but not too much.
Did you get a final shot of your slaw there?
There we go. Okay. This is our red onion, cabbage, carrot slaw with cilantro, parsley, Dijon, and apple cider vinegar. Ooh, beautiful. It smells really good too.
It tastes really good.
We need smell-o-vision on the show. Truly.
Truly do. All right, I'm almost done my pico here. We got the tomatoes, the jalapenos, the onion. Next, I need some cilantro here. Maybe like I like cilantro. I need a little bit more. There. So maybe like a half a cup of fresh cilantro here. What's fun to do here is you want to press it really, really, really tightly before you chop it. And you can call this a ship knot. And that makes you sound really cool. And you can press your dates.
Okay.
So you're just going to finely chop that once again, making sure you don't cut off your fingers. And I successfully did not.
Good job.
That's great. There. So, tomato, onion, jalapeno. Now we're gonna add our fresh cilantro in here. Looks great. We should add in lime juice.
Just a one squeeze. Pepper, you said? Okay. Not too much salt though, right? I'll add some and then you can add more if you want. This looks beautiful. Look, guys. Ooh. It smells great too. All right. That is our pico de gallo. Okay. So we have both of our slaws. We have, okay. Now we move on to our sauces. So on our tacos, we are going to do a Chipotle Ranch. This is in inspiration from the Den menu. They have Chipotle Ranch on there, and we are going to make it ourselves. So we didn't make the ranch ourselves. We cheated a little bit. We bought a nice ranch from the grocery store. But we also bought the Chipotles in adobo that we used in the first week. We're gonna put just one of the Chipotles in adobo, get a bunch of that adobo sauce in there.
Also, Hellman's makes ranch now.
Dan's really excited about it.
It's fantastic. You should try it.
Okay, and then you wanna move on to your sauce?
I'm actually going to dive. Oh, that's amazing. I'm gonna dive into the beer batter while Michelle describes the ingredients of the ranch. Okay.
So we're just adding a good portion of ranch. Healthy portion of the garlic powder. About 1 hearty tablespoon. And then we get the chipotles out of the adobo. Sometimes they're hard to find. There's 1. Do you want to do 2? Make it extra spicy? Like that? All right, we'll do 2, the smaller ones. Okay, can you hand me the mixer?
Yes. So you got garlic powder, ranch, chipotles.
Yep.
And
lime? Yeah. Okay. We're doing lime too. 2 good squeezes. You can use fresh lime, absolutely. We chose not to with the amount of lime that we do have to put into here. We would have probably used about 8 limes to get the juice that we needed. Okay, so we have our hand mixer here. You can use any type of blender. We prefer this one. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and blend her up.
all right. Double cameras going now. All right, we're gonna make your classic beer batter here. Once again, if you're not into beer, you can use soda water. That's no problem at all. I managed to find some all-purpose flour yesterday after striking out 2 grocery stores. My local convenience store had it, and thank you to them. So, when you're making a batter, it's not like baking. It can be a little more give and take. It doesn't need to be exactly precise. So the basis of this, we're going to be doing maybe like half a cup to a 3/4 cup of flour, a little bit like maybe a teaspoon of baking powder. We're going to add a good amount of beer, all our spices, and then that's kind of it. So dump it in some flour. Definitely added too much. We'll make more. So that's about a cup. Got the baking powder here next. I'm going to use the spoon this time to measure it. Just about like half of the teaspoon, like just a little bit here. That's just going to give it a little bit more carbonation. It's going to make the batter itself a little bit fluffier. All right, next up, we're going to be adding the dry spices to it. I kind of sound like a broken record, but my favorite spices to add anytime I'm using a batter is onion powder, garlic powder, paprika, cayenne, and then I use a different herb depending on the regionality of the cuisine. So Michelle and I, every single year in December, we make our house spice mix, which is basically a Cajun blend. So I'm just going to be using that. We can do maybe like 4 or 5 shakes just to season the flour a little bit, like something like that. And then ideally I'd use a Mexican oregano, but we haven't really had very much access to Mexican specialty stores, so I'm just going to be using some regular dried oregano as well to add into. So that's the basis of the dry mix. And what type of beer do we use, you ask?
The champagne of beers.
The champagne of beers, Miller High Life. What you're looking for is just a very neutral lager, pilsner, just something not too hoppy, too sour. Yeah, exactly. Like you can use the stout, or you can use some darker beers, but this is just
Well, let the fish shine.
yeah, exactly. It lets the fish shine. All right, so I got the perfect angle there. Just gonna add some beer here right off the bat. You can see the carbonation is happening. I'm gonna grab a whisk.
And that's what you need for the batter. That's the carbonation, right?
So add a little whisk here. Right off the bat, that looks like I'm making biscuits or bread. It's way too thick, which means more beer. What's nice about this too is you can have some fish tacos and you can have a drink. And it's the champagne and beers. Well, it's starting to come together here. It might still be a little bit too thick because I accidentally added too much flour to this. So
Keep on going. Tell me when.
I'm gonna add some more beer. Oh, it's great.
And what kind of consistency are you looking for?
Like a thin, I don't know, almost like applesauce. That makes sense.
It's not thinner than an applesauce. It's like thinner than a pancake batter.
Yeah, about the consistency of a pancake batter.
A little bit.
Okay, I'm very happy with that. Looks great. I got my oil. Just coming up to temperature here. Pardon me. You're gonna make the guac? Sure. Okay. Yeah, Michelle's gonna dive in and take on the avocado crema. So the SSU had a poll out there whether you wanted us to see sour cream or avocado on the nacho, and we decided why not do both. So we're gonna make a avocado sour cream cilantro lime crema to go on top of our nachos, and oh heck, we might even put it on our fish taco as well.
Maybe.
So okay. Michelle's gonna take the lead on that one there. I'm gonna get started getting this fish in the fryer. Don't worry, you won't miss it.
So I'll be doing this in the other side of the kitchen, but just so you're aware of what I'm doing, I'm having an avocado, taking the pit out, scooping with a spoon, adding equal parts of sour cream and a hefty amount of cilantro, probably about a cup when it's fully chopped. And then, what else can we put in there? That's it. Pretty easy. So you can watch Dan beer batter his fish while I take care of that.
All right. So once again, working with haddock today. Very nice white fish. I'm going to cut it in half. The cutting board. Okay, I don't have a cutting board.
I will grab one for you. Here you go, babe.
Okay, I have a cutting board coming. Great. So I'm just going to cut the fish fillets here. These are probably like 4 ounces, maybe a little less. We're going to cut them in half just because they're going to fit a lot better in the tortilla if you cut them into a little bit smaller pieces. All right. So that's done. In order to have a little bit of a binder, we need to just lightly dust the fish first with a bit of salt. I'm going to add some more of my Cajun seasoning as well, because flavor is everything. Where did I put that flour?
I put it on the floor.
Great. Okay, so as I mentioned, a little bit of all-purpose flour. It just lets the fish like stick a little bit better. My very first job in this industry, I worked in a pub in Sudbury called Rumblers. Amazing place. Loved it. Taught me everything I know. Every Wednesday we had all-you-could-eat fish and chips. And there was this one guy that really took advantage of that fact. Yeah, so I ended up having to cooking like 7 or 8 portions of fish sometimes.
Oh my god. Seriously? 8?
Yeah. Oh yeah, man.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, milked it. That's smart. All right. So anyway, fish lightly floured, right directly into this beer batter here. As Michelle said, kind of similar to like a pancake batter. I got my oil. We learned from our first mistake, so we've turned it down. Instead of at 7, like 1 to 10. When we originally started at 7, now we're going at 4.5. So
You don't want to burn.
do you want to actually get it? This is the most exciting part of the fish taco.
The camera?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
This is a very thin batter, which I'm excited about. You're gonna want it to let it drip, and then slowly put it in. You got to use your hands for this. You have to. You can't use tongs. You're just gonna gently lay it down. Piece number 2. Once again, you got to slowly do it. If you work in a restaurant, you can't just the basket, or else it will stick to the kids on the basket. It has to be done by hand. Piece number 3, and final piece number 2. We already used paper towel. Very important in this process, you can't touch the fish until at least 45 seconds. Otherwise, you're going to break up the batter. It's going to be very tough to not touch it, but it's very important. So I'd say that's been 45 seconds. I think about that. I think I'm allowed to touch it. Alright. Give it a good push. Break it up a little bit. The fish is looking fantastic. I do think I might have the oil a little bit too hot, but not to the point where I'm really worried. So fish cooks much quicker than chicken. If I was making like a chicken finger, I'd say this needs at least 5 minutes. With fish, 2 minutes, I think it's fine. Michelle's actually turning off my heat, so I mean it's done. We do need to get started on our nachos up here.
Yeah. Well, you can pick up and I will put it on.
Beautiful. All right. So I'm turning my oven on to 450. We're gonna get it roaring hot. We're gonna use a cast iron pan that can hold up to the heat. Fish is coming off. want to throw my fish?
Yeah.
I think it looks pretty good.
It looks very good. Beautiful.
Alright, fish coming off. We're just gonna lightly toss that in salt.
Oh, it's nice and crisp.
We're ready here, but yeah. Nachos. Maybe fast or
Oh, I got it. Okay, do you want to get everything ready for me? And I can put it in on.
Sure. To recap, tortilla chips, done. Pico, done. We have a red cabbage, red onion, carrot slaw. We have an avocado crema, and we have a Chipotle Ranch with our fried fish. Michelle's is filming our nachos.
It's pretty close to done.
I think we're in good shape here.
We got the oven preheating.
We got the oven preheated. About 42 minutes in. I'd say this is going pretty well. Smelling pretty good.
I'm pretty meticulous about my placement of my nachos because the best thing about nachos is when you have every single piece of nacho that is perfectly seasoned with all of your ingredients.
Michelle is the advocate for the perfect bite. Everything that she makes has a purpose.
I do that. So I need to go first.
All right. Take the lead, my dear.
All right. So I've evenly distributed my nachos in my pan. I'm using a cast iron, but feel free to use a baking sheet or like that. Put them all over the top. There's like jalapeno, fresh herbs, tomato, and onion. If you are making 2 layers or a lot of nachos, put a thin layer on the bottom, vegetables, cheese, and then another layer on top. And then you get all the goodness. Very
so good.
Okay, I'll grab the cheese.
Really good.
That's enough?
I think that's a perfect amount.
Okay.
Today we're using President's Choice Tex-Mex cheese. Because we love Galen Weston. All of it he does. Keep up the good work.
All right. Maybe I like that one. Okay. So a good layer of cheese.
Yeah.
Just put that.
Beautiful. All right. So Michelle's diving in here with the cheese. So we got a nice blend, cheddar, mozzarella, and a Monterey Jack.
Is that good?
Looks fantastic.
Okay. In the oven we go.
In the oven we go.
Okay, and then we can start to assemble the fish taco.
Fish taco comes next. All right. So she's putting that on the top rack there. What's a really great hack about that is it's currently baking, which you need, but at the very end, you can crank it up to the broiler, which speeds up your cooking time.
Yeah, and that melts the cheese perfectly.
All right.
Okay, these are a good temperature.
They look great. One more step. Flat.
Toast the tortillas.
Flat frying pan. If you're eating a taco, you gotta have a crispy taco shell. So we're using corn, as we mentioned. It's gluten-free. Shout out to my cousin Katie. These are delicious. You also don't feel like crap after eating these.
Oh my gosh, stop.
So we're gonna toss these into a, not yet. We're gonna toss these into a pan when they get hot. And then we can start assembling our taco.
What else goes into your avocado crema?
The avocado crema,
Sour cream, avocado, cilantro.
lime, and cilantro.
Lime.
Great. Michelle's just finishing up our avocado crema, chopping up that cilantro. Looks great. Tortillas are going down into this hot pan. Feeling really good about this. And very hungry as
I
well.
know, I'm actually starving.
You want to mix that?
Is that too much?
No.
Alright, guys. I can't tell what the camera is. There we go.
So that's some sour cream, avocado, cilantro, and lime juice.
We like a good amount of cilantro. Again, if you're not a fan of cilantro, which I know a lot of people aren't, feel free to use parsley instead, but
we'll judge it.
It's really not the same.
We're going to judge it.
Okay, and then lime. I like it.
That's pretty good. All right, so I got my tortillas doing their thing. The thing with like corn tortillas is they're not as like stretchy or malleable as a flour tortilla. So you got to really keep an eye on them when you are toasting them. That's why we just deep fry everything. But anyway, these are looking pretty good. Fish tacos. Oh, the fish is perfect.
It's perfect. Good.
Okay. So, in terms of assembly, we're gonna go taco, Chipotle Ranch.
No, taco.
No, Michelle's gonna
Chipotle Ranch.
Michelle's gonna tell you what we're doing.
He's right. Keep going.
All right, we're gonna go taco, Chipotle Ranch, fish, cabbage, carrot, red onion slaw, pico, topped with the crema and some fresh cilantro to finish. And then after we eat our tacos, we're gonna be like in a food coma on the couch, and we're gonna say, "Oh, we have nachos in the oven."
No.
And then we'll eat
Actually,
those. All right, so let's see how those are doing.
You're doing pretty good, but we're gonna need to have a boil on them.
All right. So, as we talked about earlier, you can bake and you can broil. I think it's time to broil.
Do you want to use this for a second?
Sure. These tortillas are looking good. Get some heat.
Okay. We're almost there.
We're almost there.
Is this plate, you want to put them on the same plate? Or do you want to do one taco with nachos? No.
Okay. I think it's time we start making some tacos. So what you're looking for in your tortilla is just these little brown crispy spots. It's really hot. Don't do that at home. Okay. Ready?
Ready.
All right. Tortillas go down. Burner goes off. Michelle's going to put some chipotle aioli on these tacos.
That we made earlier today. I like a lot of sauce.
Chipotle Ranch.
Chipotle Ranch, yes.
Then we're going to put this crispy fish. I think one is enough.
Yeah, one's definitely enough. We can save those guys for later.
Okay.
Cheese.
We got the fish. Is our video feed?
No, we're good.
All right. Now we have our cheese blend, making truly Tex-Mex. Mex.
Okay. Do you want
If I know anything about cooking, it's that fish and cheese.
Dan thinks he's funny today. Okay. You want to come over here and assemble the rest?
Sure.
Come on. There we go.
All right. So we got our tacos back. Chipotle Ranch, tortilla, give better fish, nachos going on in there. Next, we're going to hit up our slaw that Michelle made, and we're really excited to eat. I don't want to overdo it, but we got our slaw on the top there. Such a beautiful color. The smells coming from this are insane. You doing good, girl?
Thanks.
And the slaw works great for the next day too. You can eat it. So a little bit of heat in the chipotle, but where the heat is really going to be coming here is this pico, because we got fresh jalapeno, tomato, white onion, lime juice, and yeah, I guess that's it. All right, so that's topped, and then the very final step is our avocado crema, which we were supposed to just use for our nachos.
Are you gonna put on the tacos?
Yeah, I'm gonna do
Oh
it.
my god.
I'm gonna go crazy. Here's a fun little trick not great for the environment, but really wonderful for a culinary. Okay. I'm gonna spoon this avocado sour cream lime mixture into a Ziploc bag. Small little guy. You're gonna press that towards the corner, and using some scissors here, you're just gonna snip the bottom off the bag, and that allows you to basically make your own piping bag. So, just like quickly. Oof. I'm impressed. Oh, Dan, you've done it again. All right, Michelle's nachos gotta be very close.
They are close. They're just on broil right now. They're getting close to it. Okay.
Terrific. Okay.
Well, while we're waiting, do you want to try our tacos?
I don't know if we should.
Yeah, eat them. Eat them.
Yeah? You think
Yeah.
so?
Do it up.
We're getting confirmation from the big boss that we should eat them.
Okay. Let's try these guys.
All right, haddock fish tacos, beer battered. We got a Chipotle Ranch, avocado crema, red cabbage, carrot, red onion, coleslaw, and a pico de gallo. All right.
Cheers, hon.
Cheers, my dear.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
They're pretty good.
Really good. Really, really, really good. Jesus. That's amazing. Okay. Nachos are done.
Nachos are done. Wow.
All right, guys. Let's give you a shot. Okay. It's a nice jalapeno pico. The tortilla chips have been nice and crisped up. And adding that avocado crema on top. You don't want the avocado or the sour cream really to cook, so you add it on afterwards to make sure it's nice and fresh for the nachos. Oh, are you doing the Chipotle too, or getting crazy with it? All right. There's our Mexican nachos. Woo!
All right. Little send off, honey.
They look pretty good. Okay. We could eat them, but those are going to be searing hot, so we're not going to do that right now, but I'm sure that they're absolutely delicious. Fish tacos turned out great. Pretty successful dinner overall.
This is a really fun
That's some parts, yeah. You're good.
This is a really fun I guess cooking lesson for Michelle and I. This is something like really out of our comfort zone, but we really enjoyed it. Thank you so much to the SSU for considering us and
having us along, and thank you to all of you for joining in. We've loved cooking with you and for you, and we hope everyone's had a great time. All right.
Stay alert, stay safe.
Yeah, stay safe, everyone. Stay home for at least the next little while and enjoy cooking in your own homes. Mwah. Thanks so much, guys.
All right. All right, guys. Great job. That was good. That was really good. Good. Can you hear me? Oh, I think you're.
On mute. There we go.
There we go. There we go. Awesome job, guys. That was great. The finished product was amazing too, as well. Even the pico de gallo was awesome, little touch too, as well. I'm sure people don't know how to really make that at all. So that's awesome stuff.
Cool.
Okay. That one felt good. I was just like, we went into that like feeling really comfortable, having some fun, cracked a little bit more jokes this time.
Yeah. No, I thought it was awesome. It was perfect. So right now, I'm going to get you to do kind of a quick 30-second say, hey guys, thanks so much for tuning in to our SSU cooking class. We had a great time, cooking the buffalo chicken wrap, the Den burger, and then obviously our fish tacos. It's essentially kind of just recap your kind of closing comments like you just did. I'm gonna record it separately so we kind of take a separate clip. So yeah,
okay.
Whenever you're ready, start.
So thank you so much, Sheridan, college student.